Welcome to an episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before we get started today, I'd like to remind you guys that if you enjoy this content, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Or follow us on Instagram or Twitter. I'll leave the links down below. But today we have the band Subliminal Landmines here. Guys, how you doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
All right. Now, why don't we, for the first part, you guys go around, introduce yourselves, tell us what got you into music, kind of like what your inspirations are, and how you guys formed the band.
Well, I'm Grant. I sing and play the guitar for the band. And I kind of started playing guitar around like 7 years old. Literally, I heard Green Day, the American Idiot album, when I was in like 4th grade, and I fell in love with it. And I started listening to their older stuff, and then I got a guitar for my birthday, and I literally just taught myself how to play most of their songs on American Idiot. And then just stemmed from there, and then I started writing my own music just all throughout high school and middle school, and then as for getting the band started,
flyers.
Yeah, we
saw a flyer on a Coke machine.
Yes.
Yeah, one day I was like, shit, I dropped out of college because it wasn't for me, and I was like, I can actually focus on my music now. So at first we were a 4-piece. We had a singer. And I just played the guitar, and I sang here and there, but he joined the Marines.
Oh, wow.
So, then me and him, we went around Lafayette posting up flyers and stuff, looking for a bassist and a drummer. And then Eric,
I play bass.
he plays the bass. He contacted us, and just the way that he played matched really well with the style that I wrote. And so, we got that all figured out, and then we were looking for a drummer, and then Tony came along.
Yeah. It's funny on the side of a Coke machine.
Yeah, he found our flyer on the side of a Coke machine downtown.
All right, so what are your guys' influences? Like, what inspired you when you guys were young to play music?
Blink-182. Yeah, mine was Blink-182 at least.
Eric?
The Misfits. Probably.
Yep.
Yeah, mine was definitely Green Day.
Yeah. I was going to say, because like when we were talking right before we recorded this, we were talking, their music does remind me a lot of Blink-182 and a little bit of like the earlier Green Day stuff, so I could definitely tell that you guys had that kind of as your inspiration. And what was your guys' first show like, and kind of how that go down?
Like our first official show, or the on the sidewalk?
Well, okay, so we had our first kind of show we did in the backyard of my mom's house, and we invited family and friends just to kind of, have a little experience with the closest people we were closest with, playing our music that we had written so far. And then our first official show, we played at the Freetown Boom Boom Room here in Lafayette. We played with a band called Bleach, Tina Faded, and Wonder Kid.
It's probably our biggest show to date. Our first show.
How'd that show go?
It went really well. There was surprisingly a lot of people there because we played with some.
I'm just glad we went first.
We played with some pretty popular bands. Tina Faded, that was actually their very first show too that night, so we got to share that experience with them. And the place was packed. Like it was a lot of people there.
Yeah. So
it was nerve-wracking though, because it was our first show, and we were, playing our songs we had just written for the first time in front of the public. So, but it was awesome.
Yeah. So, do you guys have any rituals before a show like that you guys do? I have a lot of bands on here that say like, oh, we just drink a lot, or we just do some like stretch or something like that. Does your band specifically have like any rituals that you guys make sure that you have like a checklist before you go on stage of like what you need to be prepared for?
We're just late. That's it.
I'm always early,
yeah.
But we kind of really don't have like any set rituals that we do.
Stress out.
Yeah.
maybe eat some food before we go.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So when it comes to like writing the lyrics, Grant, you told me before that you write most of the lyrics, and where do you get your inspiration from? Is it like day-to-day interactions that you have? Is it maybe like stuff you hear on the news, or is it like a mixture of both? What really brings down the inspiration for you when it comes lyrically?
Lyrically, a lot of my lyrics, like, they come from just personal experience, feelings that I've felt, stuff I've had to deal with in my brain, how I've perceived certain things, and like even on day-to-day interactions, like sometimes like I could be going through something like a 2-week period, and then like a couple months later, like I'll start writing something and I'll catch myself like flashing back to a certain moment where I felt a certain way, and it kind of, it. A lot of our lyrics, there's a lot of people that can probably relate to them because we write from like the past experiences that a lot of people can also like that they deal with.
Yeah. So how exactly does the whole recording process happen? Because you said before that when you guys then get together, you write like the bass and the other stuff. How are you guys able to like determine like what the beat and what the melody should be for a song? Do you guys kind of just like test out different things, or do you kind of like have a set idea in your head of what it's gonna sound like?
Well, so what we do is like I write the guitar and the lyrics most of the time, and then at practice I'll introduce it to them, and then we just kind of like trial and error, just try and find certain things that work. We may change out a couple of we may change out the speed, we may slow it down, speed it up, we may change stuff completely.
I usually incorporate like little quirks of music I'm listening to that week.
Yeah, definitely.
Like what's that? I'm terrible with our song names. The song about the stalker.
Oh, No Boundaries.
Yeah, I got like I came in after listening to Jeff Rosenstock's Nausea, and they have that bop bop bop, like that drum hit, and I came in. I was listening to it that week, so I was like, we should do something like that.
That's crazy.
That's
yeah,
usually
me too. Yeah.
how I come up with stuff. Just whatever I'm listening to.
So when you guys were forming the band, since it seems like you guys had somewhat similar when it comes like genre-wise musical taste, was there any debate as to like what type of band you wanted to be, or like on the flyer did you like specifically say like this is the type of band that we're gonna be, so like join if you like this type of music? How did that all work out?
On the flyer, I put the name of the band, and I put that we were a punk alternative rock band, so it had a genre on there. That way, like, we didn't have anybody that plays, like, blues trying to contact, to join the rock band.
Yeah. So one of the big things that when I started doing this podcast is, everyone probably knows already, I'm right next to Minneapolis is where we broadcast this from. And one of the big things that I didn't understand was how big the metal community was in Minneapolis. I was completely dumbfounded. I never thought that there would be that many metal bands at all, but it's huge. You guys are right close to Lafayette. What would you say is the music scene down there? What is the big genre that really is the big genre of the region?
It's like funk right now.
Yeah, it's either like funk, or you have like a lot of like heavy metal.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of screaming rock. So
a lot of stoner rock.
Yeah. The punk scene in Lafayette really isn't too big. I mean, it is growing a little bit over the course of the past year. I've seen that, and I hope it does get bigger because Lafayette could be a great punk scene. Yeah. But it's a lot of heavy metal and funk.
Have you found it difficult being a type of genre that isn't really as popular in the scene? Have you found that harder to kind of make a name for yourself, or do you kind of enjoy it because you'd kind of be one of the first to bring that genre to bigger prominence?
Yeah, at first it was a lot harder to find similar bands to play with. That way, when people come to the show, you don't have like 3 different genres on the stage. At first it was kind of like that, but as we got to know more people and play more shows and everything, we've kind of found similar bands that we can play with and like that we really mesh well with. So, and like we're starting to branch out to Texas and maybe even Mississippi, hopefully in the fall.
Wow.
So
when also kind of going back to the songwriting, when you're writing a song, do you have the name of the song like already in your head, or is it kind of one of those things where you write the lyrics down and then you kind of come up with the lyrics from, or the title of the song from the lyrics? How does that work for you?
Most of the time, I'll come up with the title of the song kind of after I write all the lyrics. But there's been like maybe 1 or 2 songs where I've came up with the name before I even started writing the song.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular, like for those 2 songs that you came up with the name before, is there any reason why you just came up with those particular? Do you ever have like just an epiphany of like what the song name is going to be, or is it kind of just one of those things where you just all of a sudden just say like, hey, I just want to write that song? How's that work?
Okay, well, I'll give an example. So one day I was at work and I was prepping chicken. And so I'm literally writing lyrics in my head while I'm prepping chicken. I'm tapping my foot, bobbing my head. And like, thought to myself, I came up with like 2 lines. And I was like, wow, this sounds like it's about like a stalker. So I was like, I'm just going to name it No Boundaries because, stalkers have no boundaries. So, and then I continued. I wrote like a verse, and then when I got home, I finished writing it, and I wrote that song in one day.
Wow. So when it comes to performing live, one of the big things that we like to talk about is kind of like the high and the thrill that musicians get performing live. And this is a question for all you guys. Individually, how does that, could you maybe describe, I mean, a lot of people have had a lot of difficulty on this show, like describing what that feels like, but in all of your guys' words, what is that feeling like playing in front of a live audience for you guys personally?
It's like a rush, honestly. You don't really think about what else is going on. I just kind of focus on my instrument and like I hear the music, and that's it.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm like a very like timid person. Like I'm very quiet and shy. But when I play in front of people, it's just like a mix of like stress and adrenaline and excitement. And I kind of just like become another person when I'm playing live in front of people. It's very weird. I can't really. It's hard to describe, but I kind of just like let go. Like I don't care at that moment what people think so much as I do in every other moment of my life. I don't know. I just let our music speak for myself.
Yeah, for me, I like what. I'm a kind of a shy person too. I mean, I'm starting to get more, outgoing. Now I'm like in the community. I'm getting more comfortable with talking to people. But I mean, once I'm on stage, like I'm not shy at all. Like I just have fun. I play the guitar and sing at the same time. So it's a lot of multitasking. But like, even if I mess up, even if as long as I'm having a good time and I can see the crowd is having a good time, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Now, Grant, for you specifically, I mean, being the guy that writes the lyrics to most of the songs, we always have the artists on and they always talk about how like they kind of consider the songs their babies because like they write them. They're the ones that have the idea, and then when you perform live with a song that like you specifically came up with the lyrics, you were behind it. How much extra special does that feel maybe for you, kind of like being able to release that onto the world and kind of knowing that something that you have come up with personally, like lyrically wise, is being received by the audience? How special does that feel for you?
It honestly feels amazing just to see people, click and react with the words that I'm saying, and they actually, I don't know. It's just like I feed off of their energy, and like, when I see that they're enjoying it, it feels great because I know that I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
With the lyrics I'm writing.
So now we're going to talk to the bass player here because the bass player is just a genre of their own. So to the bass player, what would you say is one of the most undervalued parts of the bass that most people don't give credit to, and what is one of the just struggles also of being a bass player in a band?
That's a loaded question. I don't know. I feel like jeez. I don't know. I feel like dude, I don't know how to answer that.
I'll give you a little hint. Like, we talked to a few bass players on here, and one of the main things that they talk about is kind of like how most people don't realize that they lay down kind of the beat for the guitar, where they're kind of like the backbone part, where the guitar kind of goes off them. Kind of like how the drummer is kind of like the backbone of like the whole band with the beat that they lay down. But what would you feel? Do you feel kind of like underappreciated as the bass player? Because no one really does like to talk about the bass player. I mean, they kind of are the guy in the band that's everyone just kind of feels like, oh, he has an easy job. He just strums along. Do you get that? Do you get that feeling ever being like when you're performing live, or do you feel that like what you give into the band is very well received by the audience?
And I've played in 4 pieces with 2 guitars before, but as a 3-piece where I'm only playing with 1 guitar, I feel like I have a lot more room to do what I want, and I hate just playing the root notes. Mm-hmm. Like I like making it flashy and making it my own, and challenging myself. So I don't feel underappreciated. I feel like my bass really stands out in this band.
Yeah.
as opposed to previous bands I've played with where it got kind of lost in the mix. So me as a bassist, I feel pretty good.
Yeah. Is there one song in particular that as a bassist you think really stands out for you skill wise, that like really showcases your skills to the fullest? Is there any song?
I mean, I would say Numbskull because I play like the intro and outro.
Yeah, I would say that too. I really enjoyed that. That might be my favorite song from you guys.
That's probably the best.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about your music in a little bit. But then we've got to go to the drummer now. The drummer is always known as kind of the weird guy, kind of like the really attentive guy. He's got probably borderline ADD from all the dudes that I've talked about. It's just absolute psycho on the tooth. Now, as being the drummer, what would you say is the most undervalued thing that people don't really recognize from being a drummer?
Loading and unloading your drum set.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know. I gotta do a lot. Like, I gotta use every single one of my limbs to play, so I'm constantly using my whole body. So I get tired very, very fast. More tired than I thought I would get from a show.
I was going to say, you have to have an unbelievable amount of stamina, too, to be like a drummer, like especially a high-paced drummer. But being the drummer and kind of being the backbone of the band as far as it goes, like keeping the beat and making sure that everything stays under control, do you ever feel that extra amount of pressure when you're performing live?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, all the time. Because there's sometimes I'll play a song like ridiculously fast by accident, and then when it's done, they look at me, and I know that I just played it ridiculously fast. So, no, I feel the pressure. I definitely do.
Do you ever find that like the crowd enjoys it when you play your music faster? And this is kind of like for all you guys. Do you ever find that ever is positive, or do you find that most of your fans like it when you guys are playing a little bit more closer to the original tempo?
I feel like it kind of depends on the crowd that we have. If it's a crowd that's there, they're there to have fun. They're fucking jumping. They're moving around. They love it when we play it faster. But I don't feel like people dislike it when we do. Because if you hear it live and you hear it on the album, it pretty much sounds the same, just a little bit sped up.
Yeah. Do you guys get many mosh pits at your shows? Or do you have a large crowd or audience reaction when you guys are performing?
No, we haven't actually had the joy of seeing a mosh pit up close and personal because we haven't really played. The biggest show that we've played has maybe at 50 people.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like. Yeah, we're starting to get up there, but we've only been together for about a year and a few months. So, yeah, we're climbing up the ladder, but I hope that someone actually gets hurt at one of our shows. I don't mean that in a bad way, but that means that they were such a good time that they hurt themselves.
Yeah, we had one band on one of the first podcasts we did. I think it was like episode 5 or 6, where they were sort of a metal chorish band, and they had one guy that would always take a bottle of Jack Daniels and break it over his head at every show that he was at that they went to. And I was like, well, that's when you know you're doing something right. But one of the other things is, if you guys ever had the chance, would any of you guys, no one that I've asked here has ever said yes to this, but if you guys ever had the chance, would any of you guys be willing to do a stage dive if the crowd wanted you to do it?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes.
I definitely
would.
Yeah.
Okay, because you guys are one of the first. I think I might have actually had one other guy that said yeah, but everyone's like, no, I'd be way too nervous. I don't want to like fall or whatever. But yeah, right on, dude. I would love to do a stage dive if I ever had the opportunity to do it.
That would be awesome. Holy crap.
So, what would you say is the kind of the goal for your band within like the next year? Do you guys have like any future tour or have any like future shows that are coming up soon, or what would you say is the end all goal for you coming in within the next 12 months?
Well, right now, okay, so the show that we have set in stone next is August 11th at the Boom Boom Room. We're playing with 4 other bands. Right now, I'm in the process of booking us a fall tour throughout September and October.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to probably consist of like 8 shows. And then after that, we're going to really buckle down on writing and stuff to hopefully have our next album finished hopefully around next summer. Mm-hmm. That's the projected time frame, but when you never really know until you have everything written and you're actually doing it. We recorded our last single, She Loves Me, She Hates Me, with Dylan Frederick here in Lafayette, who runs More Loud Music. It's his own little recording studio in his apartment. And when we recorded that, we didn't expect it to sound as good as it did. The quality is great. It's all the levels are right. So we actually decided we're gonna record our full album with him. That way the album has the same consistency, sound wise.
Oh, that's great. So now we're getting to part of the program where we kind of do like the inside the actor's studio. This is the part that I think our audience has really enjoyed the most. I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions, and then as always, I have a little poll down, and then we're going to figure out what you guys are really into. So the first question that I ask, and this is for all three of you to answer separately, is out of all the songs that have ever been written in the history of music, what is one song that you personally wish you would come up with yourself?
I Miss You by Blink-182. That's just me.
What was that? I didn't hear it. Could you repeat it?
I Miss You by Blink-182.
Oh, yep. That's a great one.
It is.
I would have to say Welcome to Paradise by Green Day. That's a great song. Mm-hmm. We always cover that one too.
That's on my workout track for sure.
The Decline by NoFX. All 18 minutes of it.
Yeah.
18 minutes. Wow.
I think it's 18 minutes. It's something. It's up there.
What do they? How many solos do they have in that song?
Wait, what's that?
How many solos do they have in that song?
I don't know. It's like a Rush song kind of.
Oh yeah.
It's just one of those epic length songs.
That's awesome.
With multiple parts and an overture and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. So now, second question is: out of all the artists that have ever played, dead or alive, doesn't matter. You can pick or choose. One artist that you would have a chance to play with. Who would it be and why for one concert?
Well, obviously me, because I'm such a Green Day fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play with Billy Joe Armstrong. That would be absolutely amazing if I could play with him.
Yeah.
I'd play with John Lennon.
Yep.
I've been listening to podcasts about his death, and it's upsetting that he died.
Mm-hmm.
When he died, so I would say John Lennon.
Yep.
Probably Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson?
I learned all of his songs on the drums in the beginning. That'd be pretty dope.
I was going to say, imagine if you guys were able to put Green Day, John Lennon, and Michael Jackson all in the same band. That would be an interesting sound. Yeah. All right. So now, out of all the venues on the planet, if you could play at one venue, where would it be and why?
Probably like Gilman Street or something.
Is that in Lafayette or where's that at?
It's in California.
Oh, California?
I think it's in San Francisco. Somewhere around there. I obviously don't know. In the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I guess if I had to choose, I don't really have a specific venue in mind, but I would definitely love to play somewhere in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Like in a totally different country.
Yeah.
Where Queen played the arena show.
Probably Andy, the House of Blues.
The House of Blues.
Probably the House of Blues. Any one of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
And they're small little venues, but a lot of people go.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, that's awesome. So now, guilty pleasure. Now we're going to get into the whole guilty pleasure thing. What is one guilty pleasure song for each of you guys that if someone were to run into you or if someone even knows you, they would never guess that you enjoy?
Super Bass by Nicki Minaj.
That's a good one.
Shit.
That Should Be Me by Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Probably Stuntin' Like My Daddy by Lil Wayne.
That's awesome. All right, hang on. Yeah, I'm just writing these down. So now, guilty pleasure genres. What is a genre that if someone were to not, or someone who have known you that would never guess that you enjoy?
80s pop.
Yep.
Like electronic.
For me, it would probably be kind of like the hip hop and rap from about like maybe like 6 or 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Early 2000s rock, like 12 Stone, Studios Grace, and stuff like that.
Better not be Nickelback.
Oh, anything but.
I was gonna say once the day that I have some guy on there that like really says yeah Nickelback, I might be like okay I'm done recording this podcast. I have lost all my faith in humanity. But one of the big questions that we like to ask a lot of musicians here, because we do have a lot of guys in the rock genre, which you guys are obviously a part of. Obviously, since maybe like its peak in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, rock has kind of declined a little bit in mainstream popularity. One of the questions that we like to ask is, what do you personally think is kind of the reason responsible? I mean, we've had responses from the rise of hip-hop to just not being original enough, but what do you guys think personally is the reason why rock has declined sort of in the mainstream popularity, and what do you think it can do to sort of regain that status?
Effort is kind of going away. Everybody wants to make music with their computer rather than with instruments.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel it's a generational thing. I mean, our grandparents probably said the same thing about oldies and stuff like that in their day.
Yeah,
it's just younger people, different tastes. I personally don't really think it will ever come back.
I know that's the sad thing that I tend to think too. Is just. But I mean, I think there's still some hope. I mean, one of the only bands that I can really think of that are still financially successful are just like Green Day, Pearl Jam, and then like Foo Fighters. But I mean, once those guys stop performing, I'm kind of worried that might be the end of it. But I'm hoping that maybe even if the genre does die, there might be kind of like it might kind of mix in with another genre, so like it keeps techniques and forms of rock and roll in it, so it's still somewhat there. But that's what I think is the one thing that people got to be hoping for. So what would you say would be an early struggle that you guys definitely had to go through when you were forming the band, and kind of how'd you guys overcome that?
Kind of the earliest struggle that we really had to deal with was, finding the members of the band. Because once we were together, we matched really well musically. We were always kind of in sync from the get-go. But kind of just finding the drummer and the bassist. That was kind of like the hardest struggle.
Everybody plays guitar. There's an oversaturation of guitarists, and there's not enough drummers or bassists.
Yeah, there was one point where I kind of lost hope. I thought we were never going to find a drummer. It had been like 2 months. And then Tony hit us up.
Yeah, that's cool.
So now we're gonna like go over a few of your songs, because I usually listen to the music like right before I record the podcast, just so that it's fresh in my mind, and I'll just go through some of the songs with you guys and just kind of give my own personal opinion. I mean, I really enjoyed like all the songs, and I really think that you guys are really onto something. But the first one I listened to is "She Loves Me, She Hates Me," and when I first saw the title, I was like, oh my god, are these guys like trying to rip off the Beatles or something like that with like "She Loves You" or something? But then as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my god, no, this is actually a great song. Then I also listened to probably my favorite song, which was Numbskull, and I'm one of those people where my attention is messed up at times. So, like, I like the very fast-paced songs that like kind of just really just ramp it up, and I really enjoyed Numbskull because it starts out like that and it kind of continues all the way through. Do you find that playing songs like that fast-paced are a lot harder to play in shows, or do you kind of, or are the slower songs a little bit hard to play because then you might have to like think a little bit more about like getting the notes right? How does that work for you guys?
I mean, I think that honestly playing a slower song is maybe a little bit harder than playing a faster paced song, at least for me. I don't know, what about you guys?
Just slower ones I just get more into. Because the fast ones I gotta just be thinking about the song and nothing else.
Yeah.
Listen.
So then I listened to Lost, and I really liked how it picks up and then it tampers off a little bit at the end. I mean, I really enjoyed kind of that lateness, kind of just the picking up. Who came up with that in the when you guys were recording it?
Like what part again? What part are you talking about?
The ending where it really just kind of picks up like the beat and the tempo, and then it tampers off a little bit at the end of Lost.
I think Eric came up with that, I believe.
Yeah. Because
we were at practice, and I remember, I think I can remember, that was such a long time ago. We were just, trial and error, kind of trying to come up with certain things, and we were like, what if we kind of change the pace a little bit right here, and then jump right back into it?
Yeah. And then I got two more songs on here. Well, I have three actually, but Fix Me I love the Smells Like Teen Spirit kind of esque opening that I enjoyed. I really, really enjoyed that. But then I need to tell you something. I love the instrumental. It was really great. Do you guys find playing instrumentals is easier than playing regular songs?
Yeah.
It's just jamming. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
There's a lot less structure.
Yeah. So and then our last one was really, when I heard this, I kind of got a feeling of Jackass, kind of like one of the songs that you'd hear on Jackass when they're doing the show, and that was Redemption. I just got a huge Jackass flashback where I was like, oh my god, I feel like I'm watching Jackass again, like when they're playing. So I really, really enjoyed that. And so overall, I mean, to all my listeners out there, I'd say definitely give these guys a listen. I mean, if you are a Blink-182 fan, you will definitely kind of enjoy the pace that they kind of use, and the lyrics are similar, and just the overall quality of music is very similar to that, and they do have that early Green Day-esque vibe. It's really, really enjoyable. And guys, is there any way that anyone here can contact you? Do you guys? I know you guys have YouTube. I'll leave the link to your YouTube channel below, and make sure that everyone that checks this out would give you guys a like and subscribe. But do you guys have anything on like Spotify or anywhere else that some people could contact you?
Yeah, we're actually, our music is available everywhere. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. It's on Bandcamp.com. If they want to contact us, Facebook would probably be the best bet. Just send us a message.
Yeah. I'll definitely leave the link to your Facebook page below. But yeah, it was great having you guys on the show. Anytime you guys want to come back on, you guys are more than welcome. And I'll definitely, what happens is, if you guys ever have a show or have any singles coming out, you definitely let me know and I'll plug them for you guys. I really enjoy, helping people out in that department. I really enjoy helping getting people's music out. On my Facebook page, I'll probably leave a link below to some of your songs. I'll probably leave a link below to Numbskull because that was my favorite song. But yeah, I really enjoyed having you guys on the show. And you guys ever want to come back, just let me know, man.
All right, man.
Yeah. All right, you guys take it easy. And this is Ryan Johnson from DD on the Spot signing out.